Hi, welcome to Something for the Weekend. Whether you're watching the live recording or watching this show later. Oh, I'm just going to take my colleagues off mute because apparently our system doesn't appear to be working properly again, so they haven't been able to do it themselves. So just keep waving at me if that needs to continue. I'm Ju Gosling, also known as the artist Ju90. I'm artistic director of Together 2012, who are bringing you this live stream today. With me in my studio in Canning Town, where we've been locked up together with various random anarchic pets since last March, is our chair, the artist and activist Julie Newman. We're going to give you some audio description in a minute and also tell you what we're dressing up to go out to stay in to do this week. But first, the other end of our long virtual wheeled sofa in the West Midlands for some introductions, audio description, and tell us what you're dressing up to go out to stay in to do.
Well, hi, hello. I'm Tracy Surgeoner in our studio with our red velvet curtains behind us. I have got newly trimmed long blonde hair and blue eyes and pale skin. I'm wearing a blue t-shirt that says, as you can see, it says nice day, and it's got a little kitty at the bottom. And I'm wearing a red and pink striped sweatshirt. Now I'm wearing these because, do you want to know what I'm doing for the weekend? Well, links to what I'm wearing is connected to a link for the weekend. Does that help?
That was brilliant. Thank you
Okay.
for that succinct non-explanation. So I'm Robin. I am Robin Surgeoner, also an artist in my own right, known as Angry Fish, up here at the other end of the sofa in Sutton Coldfield. I am business director at Together 2012 and co-presenter of Together TV. So I have got silvery white, actually getting longer hair. Actually, at the moment, must be going to get cut soon. Blue eyes behind no rimmed black armed glasses, and I am wearing a black round necked T-shirt with a very prominent bright green placard. I have worn this before, but it's an Amnesty International T-shirt. It says "Protect the Human," and again, that'll I am wearing that for something that we'll be talking about in what to do soon.
Okay, Robin and Tracy. So, to try and make that a bit clearer, later in the show, in the second half, we've got a section called The Week Ahead, and I think we'll be coming back to the things that dressing up to go out to stay in to do then. So, like I say, I'm Ju Gosling. I have not been out to the hairdressers or to anywhere else, so I have a self styled hennaed corona crop hidden, as has become my habit this year, under a wonderful hat that's been hand knitted for me by my friend, the textile artist and craft designer Alison Walker up in Scotland. Thank you, Alison. And today's hat is a mixture of shades of greens, blues, purples, and with a bit of sparkle. I've got pale olive skin with green eyes behind black plastic glasses. I've got silver coloured jewellery, including what Robin calls my lesbian axe pendant on. And I've got a purple t shirt, only slightly splashed with bleach, that says fabulous across the chest. And I am dressed up to go out to stay in, to go to a wonderful thing that's happening later this evening and then is available to be streamed on demand over the weekend only. And that's the folks at Brownton Abbey, who are queer, disabled people of colour, Afrofuturistic, and it's an evening of radical performances and conversations hosted by Battersea Arts Centre. And the tickets are very much on a basis of donate what you can. So that is just going to be a fabulous thing to go out to later or to catch up if you get hold of it before the weekend. Look out for Brownton Abbey on social media. They're very much up and coming and just a fabulous collective of artists. So, Julie, who are you? What do you look like? And what are you dressed up to go out to stay in to do?
Well, hi, I'm Julie Newman. Excuse me. I'm the chair of Together. Excuse me. I'm so sorry, I've got a frog in my throat.
I think it's probably the hairs from the giant fluffy black cat that you
Yeah.
can't see in the audience, but has just leapt off our studio table. So
I
try
want to come with
again.
you. I want to come with you to watch the Brownton Abbey. It sounds wonderful. I'm dressed up with a hat from Glastonbury from 1996, which is brown baker boy cap, is what you call it.
Yes, it is a sort of faded yellow velvet baker boy cap with sort of red and green and yellow flowers and leaves embroidered over the front.
I borrowed it from Ju. I've got. I know I keep forgetting to describe my hair, and I think it's because I don't want to. It's completely, it's completely unshorn. It's sort of gold and silver, and it's there's a hint of ringlets on each side, but it's growing, growing, growing. It's you can tell it's summertime, the period of growth. I've got dark rimmed glasses. I'm wearing a black t-shirt today with a motif on it, which says broad. Does it say Broadstairs?
Yes, Broadstairs Folk Week in
Broadstairs
yellow.
Folk Week in yellow. It's got lots of lovely little drawings of folky type things, and I've got my bracelets on, my sort of white metal bracelets, which is a Celtic knot and a torque on the other side with my black watch. I am going to watch the solstice, and there's a live feed.
Because that's Midsummer's on Sunday,
It
isn't
is.
it?
It's Midsummer's. It's there's a live feed put on by English Heritage Sunday night into Monday morning from Stonehenge, because Stonehenge is closed again this year, much to the annoyance and outrage of the various druids, including, I think, Arthur, the chief druid, who's jolly cross about the whole thing. But it's going to be lovely, and I'm really looking forward to it. You know, I don't plan to sleep much that night, but it's once a year. You know what I mean? It's sort of it's not as if it's every weekend, is it?
Yeah, so very special weekend with the longest day. And are you going to do anything special on Sunday, Robin and Tracy? I think we'll
Well,
take that as a no.
deafening silence there was no.
Yeah, I think we've got a bit of a clue there, haven't we? So, in today's show, we have, as always, poems from this week's Pop Up Poetry Club. We have artwork from the Together 2012 Art Club sessions. We've got lots of recommendations for other things that you can do online for free or for very little price at home. We've got join in from home art and craft activities with Tracy and Stella. And of course, we've got our Clockwork Paralympics kicking off the second half of the show. And today we're finishing. Well, let me just ask Robin, tell us a bit about the interview we have at the end today.
Yeah, we've got a fabulous interview with Tanya Moti, who is a disabled woman of mixed heritage who has been risen and gone through from the bottom right to the tops of the ranks of the BBC. And she's come to tell us some of her experiences as a disabled person.
Brilliant. So that's in our and finally spot this week. But first, let's start with some poems. Robin, I believe you've got one from Glory Sengo.
I do indeed. And this is so from Glory, and this is called Starlight. Hello. How are you? It's night. Let's fly. Woohoo, we can see the clouds. Yee-haw, we saw the clouds. We saw the houses, we saw the buses, we saw the trains, we saw the lorry. Lit by starlights. The star is shining bright. And then we were fast asleep. The sky is dark.
I really enjoyed that, Glory. Thank you. Our pop-up poetry club takes place every Wednesday morning from 10:30 to 12. It's a phone-based club. We phone you and we pay for the calls. and people gather together at the beginning. We have a theme each week. This week's theme was the night sky. We have a break in the middle so that people can get on with their own writing in peace, and then people gather together again in order to share their poems together. So this one is from Crystal Peasy, The Stars in the Sky. The stars in the sky are all different colours. The stars are glittering. They are very shiny. They're also different colours. They can be blue, green, black, brown, silver, gold. You can't see the stars in the daytime. You can see the stars in the dark at night time. You can see the stars in the countryside. In London, I never see stars in the sky myself because in the city there are too many lights everywhere. That's why I can't see the stars in the sky. And I love to see stars in the sky. Thank you for that, Crystal. I think you have a poem for us next, Tracy.
I do. I've got a poem by Dawn Barber and it's called The Dark Sky. Hello, moon, up there in the dark sky, shining, shining bright. I look at you carefully and study you well. It's dark, but here you are, giving us a wonderful light to let us know you are here. Even in the darkness, you appear.
Oh, lovely. Thank you, Dawn. Julie, I think you've got one of Alison Marchant's. Alison is the mid career international artist who works part time leading our club's programme.
And she's written Snapshot of the Night Sky in Early June. In a clear night sky is an ever-changing display of fascinating objects, stars, constellations, bright planets, and often the moon, and sometimes special events like meteor showers. By the second day in June, the moon has completed 3/4 of its orbit around Earth. At a third quarter, a satellite always appears half illuminated on the western side towards the pre-dawn sun. It rises in the middle of the night and remains visible in the southern sky all morning. In a week of moonless evening skies, observing deep sky targets, on the 5th day in June in the eastern pre-dawn sky, small round black shadows are cast by Jupiter's 4 Galilean moons. All this looks like a grainy black and white film visible in amateur telescopes as they cross the planet's disk.
Thank you, Alison. And this is from Taylor Henville, who's also one of our volunteers. Night Sky in the City. Night sky in the city, a murky, blurring swirl of colour, black, purple, midnight blue, and that ever present amber glow, the reflection of the city lights below. Night sky in the city. It's like a heavy curtain pulled over the stars. Sometimes you see them poke through and sparkle, then retreat behind the curtain for the evening to get some privacy from the busy city. Thank you, Taylor. And I really liked the poems from Taylor and Crystal, just highlighting the fact that actually our night sky is not a starry sky. Julie, I think to finish, we've got one of yours.
Yes, this is one that I actually wrote last year. But when I wanted to write something about the night sky this year, I just kept coming back to this. So I thought, well, forgive me, but I'll read it again. It's called Celestial Homesickness. My eyes closed, my mind drifted as I listened to the song of the shipping forecast, familiar names of unknown places carrying me away to dreams within dreams. I swam with the stars and danced on the moon, my feet not heavy, my spirit light enough to carry me up and over the brightness of countless constellations, diving in and out of meteor tails, delighting in the sparks that light the endless night. And then I played with asteroids, relentless in their pursuit of the path that leads nowhere, looking for partners in their timeless flight around the planets. And as I awoke from the dream within the dream, I reached back to the stars and the endless dance, longing again to feel the joy of the light and the wonderful belonging in the night of endless dreams, to join in the dance and play with the stars, forever part of the harmonics that form, calling to all but unheard by many, the glorious song of the universe.
Well, I think that's a great way to finish the poetry section. We're going to move over to earlier this morning, or I should say, if you're watching this on a Friday morning, the Art Club hold a still life session, again under the auspices of Alison Marchant. And what Alison does is create a still life at home earlier in the week, photograph it, and then she shares that photograph over Zoom. But we can also text or email you the photo, WhatsApp it, whatever you want, whatever's easiest for you if you'd like to join in. And the session then takes place from 11 to 12 by Zoom. We start with quite a detailed audio description, and it's quite a mindful session. And people, as with everything we do with the Art Club, can join in using whatever they have at home. So I'm going to pop the image up and ask Robin to audio describe it.
So what we have in front of us is, I think, a classic pair of red shoes, or perhaps sandals. They are definitely a red leather, with the sole has got a leopard print pattern on it. I believe these are Vivienne Westwood, hence the style. And they have a T-bar strap around that would go around the ankle, and then sort of two holes in the front that almost give the appearance of of an animal, really, to me.
Thank you, Robin. So let's have a look at some of the pictures. This is a felt tip version, and I think this is done by Sophia. This is Crystal Peasy pictured holding up her painting, which is great, Crystal. Crystal's used red and black paint. Oh, okay, this is Sophia. So apologies, that first one must have been Glory Sengo. And Sophia has done a great job with felt tip. Really, really lovely on the perspective. And last but by no means least, here is Lee Brooker with a pencil drawing. Absolutely brilliant. So if you'd like to join in from home, that picture will be up on our website in the highlights and links sections from around 6 o'clock on Friday night. The highlights and links page you can go to by going to the main Together 2012 TV page on the website. Just click on the Together 2012 page and you will get the stream up. There's also a link through, or there's a click down menu to take you through to highlights and links. And there'll be all of the pictures, poems, and other information, videos that we've had on the show today, and also direct links to all of the activities and events that we recommend, including, of course, tonight's Brownton Abbey. So let's move on and see what the Art Club did earlier in the week. On a Tuesday, they hold a make and natter session. And what they've been working on this week is making a paper flower. And I believe this is a pattern that's very similar to one you did, Tracy.
Yes, it is. I mean, I did this one using kitchen roll, I think I used, and tissue. And yeah, it's really pretty. It's a case of you get a long sheet and wrap and wrap and wrap, and that creates the petals and also the stem. And that they've done a really good job, actually. It's really good, really cool.
Yes, and I think they've been working for several weeks on paper wrapping techniques. Let me just have a look at this one.
Yeah.
Yes, so this is Sophia again, and Sophia's managed to do that with pink and blue paper. Ellen Goody has taken the idea, but what Ellen's actually has done is drawn the petals and flowers, cut them out, and stuck them onto paper. They've also been doing some quilling. And this is Glory Sengo beginning to quill. I mean, Julie, I think you explained to us last week it's about rolling pieces of paper and then putting them into something slightly larger. There's much more examples of quilling from previous weeks on the highlights and links page. And then this is Duncan Bridgestock, and Duncan is continuing to create just wonderful collages using recycled card and cutting them out into different shapes. Robin, would you like to have a go at audio describing that for us, please?
I do. I think actually we looked at this one last week, but he's made some additions to it. So we've got a number of what I would describe as L-shaped pieces, but arranged at different angles around the screen, and some black dots. As I said, and I kind of, for me, it looks a bit like a computer game, that you'd be chasing the dots around the screen, and then there is a white shape in the middle where the mind makes you see a heart. So if the heart isn't there, it gives that, it almost looks like a question mark and a heart in one.
It does, doesn't it? Let me click on and see the other one of Duncan's.
Oh, that's very complicated. So this time, again, very much used some boxes, and it's kind of used the edges of the box and then cut the middle out, or taken the middle out of the top of the box, and created depth by placing the three rectangular shapes at different angles but on top of each other, and it kind of looks like you're looking through three windows as if into the distance. That's really cool.
Yeah, thank you for that great audio description, Robin. Duncan is going to be exhibiting his collages as part of our 2021 Disability History Month Festival coming up in November, December. And I'm really delighted that we'll be doing a solo show of those. It will be online, but we'll be taking those off and getting them all very, very decently scanned, as opposed to our sort of, I think that was actually phoned on a mobile phone with the Zoom. So, yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing those. The Make and Natter session on a Tuesday always offers you, well, effectively several options. You can take part in one of the activities that Alison leads, which mostly use recycled materials, and she will demonstrate that at the start of each session. Or you can bring along, as Duncan has, the work that you're working on, and just, yeah, make a natter, show each other your work, have a bit of a chat. It's the most sociable of our club sessions. So for any of these things, if you email info@together2012.org.uk, we'll let you know how you can join into the club's programme and send you the links. It's free and it's open to anybody who can access it, as long as you're disabled. We don't ask for any proof. This is very much about self-identifying, and we include people with learning difficulties, people with mental health difficulties, people with long-term health conditions, and you. So please do contact us soon. I'm now going to move on to another of our art club activities, which is Join In with Stera. And each week, Stera Plurger demonstrates a new, accessible, inclusive art activity for us. Stera is a member of Act Up Newham, who are our associate drama company, but she's been shielding for some months in a wood in Norfolk with her PA and facilitator Hannah Facey, who has filmed this for us today. So thank you, Stera and Hannah. And this is How to Paint with the Sun.
Hi, I'm Stera. It's hot and sunny and hot, and I made a painting with the sun. It's beautiful. Bye.
Julie, would you like to audio describe what happened as our printing expert?
I wouldn't put myself down as an expert, but what Stera did was she collected pieces of leaves and little ends of branches with leaves upon it, and she had 4 different ones. Excuse me. Sorry, that frog is back, very persistent. And she put it onto a piece of coloured cartridge paper and left it on the ground. The sun was so strong that it bleached the cartridge paper and left the imprint of the leaves, the various leaves and little end branches that she'd put out, and it retained the colour of the cartridge paper underneath it. So it made it a little imprint. It was very clever, and we actually interviewed somebody last year, didn't we, who'd done that?
Well, sort of, yes. We had the photographer Tim Body on our Together Unlocked show last year, and what Tim did was get vegetable juice and paint the white paper with vegetable juice, so you had a coloured paper, and did the same thing, put a leaf or a piece of bracken or something on top of the painted piece of paper. He then put it in the sunshine, and everything faded around the leaf and left the leaf itself with a much darker color. So that's another way of doing it. It's basically about just putting something onto a paper that's going to change color in the sun, however you manage to achieve that. But yes, I mean, it is just so clever.
I thought it was, and I was particularly impressed at the manners of Merlot, the assistant's dog, who didn't bounce up and jump on it. So he's obviously sort of very, very well trained, which we know, of course.
So moving on, very aptly, having discovered how to make a print using just sunshine, some leaves, a piece of paper, and possibly some vegetable juice, we now look at how you can frame that print, making a frame out of card. So I'm just going to pop up some pictures on the screen, and then Tracy will talk us through it as we join in with Tracy.
Yeah, well, I'm still working on the using things that come through the door or things that I've got in the house. And I thought, I want to have a go at making some picture frames. I've got a few pictures on the fridge, and I thought I'd like to stand them up in the lounge. So I just gathered a collection of stuff that I'd got, mostly stuff through the post, as you can see, junk mail. Yeah, and all I needed was a pair of scissors, a glue stick, and a photo. So I decided to use some bits of the 2 boxes that I'd got, purple boxes, light and dark shades of purple, and a bit from the Cocoa Pops. I used that as the backing for the frame. So what I've done there is I've just cut out the backing to the same size as the photo, and then cut out a curve so that I could slide the photograph in once the frame had been put together. Beautiful photo of my son there swimming in the paddling pool. Yeah, so that is my. I thought, I'll place it first, make sure that's how I want it, which is what I've done. So yeah, one of those strips is actually just a piece of paper as well. And then just proceeded to glue it on the reverse side. So I've glued it on the back so that, where you've got your lines and your adverts, I've all made sure they're at the back of the picture frame. And there we are with my finished picture frame without the picture in it. And then I've just got the back piece there was another piece of card that I've used as the stand so that it will actually stand up. And there we go. Voila, one picture in its picture frame, which I can now put around the house. And I find that is so easy, and you can do it for different sizes, different size pictures, add a couple of pictures together. I've gone for a rectangle. Circle's a bit harder, but still achievable.
And I think one of the great things about that is you can make it to fit the picture. And I get so fed up of ordering frames on the internet and then they don't quite fit, and there's a big gap around the side, or you've got to trim the photo when you don't really want to trim the photo, or you've got to print it out again at a different size. And I love that because it's just completely about making a frame that suits that particular picture. So
Yeah.
that again will be up on our website in the highlights and links page from 6 o'clock. We also have a join in with Tracy page and a join in with Stara page, and you can go straight to those and see this week's activities and everything they've done previously. Now we will move on and take a break for the Clockwork Paralympics. The Clockwork Paralympics are a weekly event that we've been running actually since last April. Very much does what it says on the tin. We race 2 clockwork toys to see who's going to win. And then, just to make it a bit more fun, one of our teddy bears gets to wear a medal for the next week. We have a plastic medal. The surgeoners appear to have a house full of medals, but that's what comes with being Paralympians. At least we've got something. So we partly do this because we love our teddies, and mostly because ever since last year, a virtual bear hunt has been taking place worldwide. Yes, I'm going to introduce your bear in a minute. So the virtual bear hunt is for children and anybody else who's into teddy bears to look on streams and see a bear is there. There's also a real bear hunt. If you just stick a teddy in the window, then when children and young people are out and about again, they're able to hunt bears. Lots of children's activities are still not taking place. So yeah, if you'd like to join in the bear hunt, we think it's a lot of fun. So I don't know if my eyes are deceiving me. I'm not quite sure that's a teddy, Tracy. Do you want to introduce it?
Well, it's plush and it's got beanies in it, so it's a bit like a teddy. But as we're doing a water event, we thought we'd opt for a penguin this week. So this is Pingu, my penguin.
Okay, I'll just accept that, and
Yes.
everybody else to do
Thank you.
the same. And for about the 5th week running, if not longer, we have Tanny, and Tanny is a golden, sort of honey-coloured bear actually, who fortunately has her own sports outfit on and already has a medal. Thank you again, Karen and Eve, for buying me Tanny for my birthday, and also she comes with her own gold felt medal, but they also made one that says Together 2012. And because it's Pride Month, Tanny is holding a rainbow flag. So to play the Clockwork Paralympics at home, you just have to decide, are you supporting the competitor on the right-hand side of the screen or the left-hand side? And if you don't know your left and your right, just hold up a hand and that's the side that you're going to support. As Tracy said, we're still in the pool, partly in tribute to Robin, as he was a swimming Paralympian and still coaches swimming. So, which side are you going to go for this week, Robin?
I'm going to stick with the right hand side actually this week.
Well, just because that one always seems to win.
No, I like the right.
Of course, of course. So Robin is going to tell us it's a bit of a sprint down the bath. We've got 2 clockwork crabs, and we'll see who gets to the bath lift seat first. Go for it, Robin.
Okay, so here we are, all wound up and ready to go. It's very exciting, particularly as this week has got lots of Olympic swimming trials going ready. So let's see which one of these crabs is going to make it to this year's Paralympics. And off we go, and off we go. And the right-hand side is the Birmingham. Well, I mean, in fairness, although that was quick, it's coming again. We have to say that although the swimmer representing Birmingham was swimming quite well, the swimmer from London got lost. So we in fact we'll take the win, but it was by default as much as anything else than our pure Pingu swimming achievements or crab swimming achievements. So we're going to have this lovely gold medal we re-awarding this week. So nearly it's as big as Pingu actually. So if we dived in with this on, I think we might not come back up again.
And which medal is this, Robin?
This is one from Orion Swimming Club. Actually, this is probably Emily's patterns. It could be my. Oh no, it is mine. It was the breaststroke. Yeah, there's that's definitely mine for the.
Medals just can't work out what they're all for, darling.
Yeah.
So I think that's time to move on again, having congratulated the Paralympians through gritted teeth because they've won yet again. And look what is coming up in the week ahead. And Julie, do you want to kick off?
Yes, I got very excited because I randomly found on the Tower of London, no, the Tower Bridge site, not the Tower of London, the Tower Bridge site, they had an artist in residence called Di Mainstone. And she did a wonderful, wonderful residency. And there's a lovely online page completely devoted to it where she looked at the history of people who'd been involved. And there was a woman at the turn of last century who used to sing to her plants. She ended up sadly in the poorhouse at St Olave's, but Di then looked at the rivets and she created a piano. She looked at the cables that go up the side of the bridge and she created a violin. And she's made a piece of music to go with it and a film, and it is so beautifully creative. And I think it's a really exciting piece of work. I love bridges. I love the Tower Bridge, and it's just completely absorbing.
Brilliant. So the first thing I would like to flag up is that on Monday afternoon, as part of New and Word Festival, we are hosting a sign poetry workshop with DL Williams from Bristol. DL is a very experienced poet. It's going to be a great workshop. It is limited to people who are either deaf or use sign as their main form of communication. So we can really focus the workshop on the people who are going to benefit from it most. So if you can sign, but you're not deaf or it's not your main communication form, it's not for you. But coming up on Thursday the 1st, we have the pop-up poetry cafe where we welcome everybody to come and perform on the open mic again as part of New and Word Festival. What was your first recommendation, Robin?
So the first one for me is this weekend, starting this evening at 7:30, and I think on a repetitive stream through till Sunday, is a performance of Swan Lake, an extremely famous ballet by a composer called Tchaikovsky, and it's been done by the ballet school, the Ballet Theatre School, and the Ballet Theatre UK, but it's a full-on production. With really like glamorous and sets and full costume and everything. So although it's being streamed, it's a full works, and again it is free. Although you are also free to make donations to support them as well.
That sounds wonderful. Tracy.
Well, now I can tell you why I'm wearing my very casual clothes, because as you know, I do like to come in a bit of glitter and sparkle most weeks. But I'm wearing these casual clothes because I'm going to be doing some exercises. I'm going to do some dancing. I'm going to be doing some movement. And I'm doing that because I'm celebrating the June 10th. 10th. I've been saying that all morning, 10th. It's a virtual celebration. And it's happening on Saturday at 11 o'clock. It's free, and it's for those that aren't sure about that, it's a national holiday now in America. Joe Biden made it into a holiday for people to be able to celebrate the ending of slavery. And as they've carried it on, it's the 8. It's called the 8 changes to racial equality. And what they're doing, especially at the moment, because it's all virtual, is asking people to do some exercise, do some dancing, do some walking, anything really that gets you to move your body. Take some photos of that and upload that to whatever social media you use, just to show your support for for racial equality and for enslaved people.
Yeah, that's an amazing way to show support, isn't it? I've never heard of anything doing of that being done before. Anyway, that and everything else will be up on highlights and links under the Together 2012 TV pull down menu from 6 o'clock. The next thing I'd like to flag up is well, it's one of a series of 3 panel discussions, and I think one of them was yesterday, and the other one is in July. It's being organised by Disability Arts in Shropshire, also known as DASH, who are a wonderful organisation that have been going for many years and very much our friends and colleagues. And it's called Curating Institutional Change is the title of the series of 3. And this one is Care and Compassion. And it's a series of panel discussions about how the visual arts sector can become more inclusive and accessible. And it's part of their Future Curators programme. So they're supporting deaf and disabled curators to develop their skills and expertise through residencies, and at the same time working to change the culture of visual arts organisations. So that's free, and it's on Wednesday from 1:30 to 2:30. What else did you want to recommend, Julie?
I haven't got anything else. It was just really the solstice. I got blown away by that, and also the Tower Bridge stuff.
So with the solstice, it's very much Stonehenge. Is Greenwich Observatory doing anything?
Not in the same way. I think the joy of Stonehenge is that it's such a wonderful, wonderful panorama. I watched it last year and thoroughly enjoyed it.
And I bet you never thought you'd still be under the same roof, having not moved a bit since. When the sun strikes the cottage chimney, we will suddenly be allowed out again. Perhaps not. What else do the West Midlands have to recommend?
Actually, it runs quite nicely with the Juneteenth idea in a sense. I found something, and it's literally called Gentle Dance, and it's an online dance class. Again, that seems to it's every Friday, but it starts at 2 p.m. in the afternoon and runs right through to 5 o'clock in the following morning. Now you don't have to dance for all that time. Again, it's a repeating stream, and I think you join it hourly. But it's described as a gentle kind of dance class. Anyone 19 and over, just introducing different dances to. They describe it as lovely music, lovely pieces of music, and something to kind of chill out to. So actually, if you've had a stressful week, just go. Do you know what? If you've got, particularly if you've got privacy of your own studio, for example, you can, absolutely. But you can, but actually, just go and join in a bit of dance that no one's going to worry about you doing. Just enjoy.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. It can be really intimidating to go into an exercise class, whereas, the joy of doing home-based activities, we don't have to worry about any of those things. Well, Brownton Abbey, I'd already flagged up for tonight, is taking place as part of Pride Month. And next Thursday from 7 to 9 p.m, there's another Pride Month event, which is Boisterous Ravens. And it's an evening of live spoken word performance for and featuring strong Black women and Black non-binary voices for Pride Month. It looks really great. Again, it's free. It's led by people of colour. It's great to see more diverse Pride events coming along. So, I think that one is probably unmissable. And a couple of people have already, that I've recommended it to, said yes, they completely agree. It's just going to be a great evening. Do we have anything else from your end?
Purely England are playing Scotland in the Euros tonight, and there will be people with interest. I'll be working, so I won't even get to see it. So there you go.
Well, it's always nice to have that warning. And can I just clarify what you were dressed up to go out to Stone to do, Robin?
Really to celebrate Juneteenth. So
I see, that was a joint thing. Okay,
yeah,
makes sense. Well, in that case, I'm just going to pick up finally a very couple of quick ones. The National Portrait Gallery is running a virtual creative writing hour on Tuesday. And what you do is you write for about 30 minutes and then they have a discussion or a reading. So it's an ongoing thing. I haven't got the time here, but I think it's around about lunchtime. and what they do is they show pictures, parts of the collection that then inspire you to write. And I just thought that was a really, really interesting way of writing. And the final one was an alternative way of drawing, which is the Sound and Vision Drawing Club. And it's a special one next Thursday from 7 to 8:30 to celebrate International Day of the Seafarer. And there's curator Simon Stevens, photographer Cesar Gabriel, and music producer George Schilling. See the latest contemporary art from Rise Art and the rich archive of Royal Museums Greenwich, alongside a broad variety of music from experimental jazz to folk and classical to electronica. You just draw with whatever you have at home, but you draw, as with the writing thing for the National Portrait Gallery, you draw in response to this art and music, which, yeah, I just think sounds really interesting and imaginative. So that's our recommendations for the week ahead. And we're going to move on to our and finally spot in a minute. I'd just like to say thank you to everybody for joining us. If you're interested in joining our clubs, then do drop us a line, info@together2012.org.uk, or visit our website www.together2012.org.uk for lots more join in from home activities. So goodbye from Julie.
Goodbye. Have a nice week ahead.
And Robin, let's have some goodbyes from you and just tell us about the final item.
Goodbye. Enjoy your workouts.
And it's goodbye from her. And let's meet Tanya Moti. So this afternoon, I'm talking with Tanya Moti, who is a TV executive with a huge amount of experience. Afternoon, Tanya.
Hi, Robin.
I'm going to jump straight in with some questions. So having worked as a broadcast journalist for over 30 years, actually what I want to go back to is how and why did you get into journalism in the first place?
It's an interesting one, and that's it's because right from a very, very early age, I was just fascinated with the idea of TV. And my mum was a cleaner. We lived in London, and she worked for some. She worked cleaning people's houses, and some of them were somebody came up with questions, for a children's TV show, and that was their job, was to come up with these questions for something called Screen Test. And then somebody else was a set designer, and somebody else was a TV director, and their jobs just seemed so exciting. I couldn't quite believe they were paid for doing these kind of things. And once or twice I was lucky enough to go with them and their children to go and see some of the things happening. And I just thought, what an incredible thing. So I then decided, because we lived in the shadow of Television Centre, I lived in Shepherd's Bush, that was what I wanted to do. I wanted to work for the BBC and have a fun life.
Brilliant.
And actually, the one thing I would say about that is my mum was a cleaner, and my mum said to me that I could do whatever I wanted to do, and if that's the job that I wanted, then good, go for it. So there was no so when I then started encountering barriers, I didn't really understand it, because I couldn't see why there should be barriers. So I think the thing that I keep thinking about is that belief, if you have something that you really, really, really want to do, that can power you through so much stuff.
If I'm not mistaken, your early career started at Guild Television at the University of Birmingham. How much do you think that helped you? I think that, we hear lots about internships, and volunteering and stuff like that. How much do you think kind of informal stuff to start with helped you in your later career?
Massively, because of the fact that I'd focused quite my whole life really to working for the BBC. I think that it all of those things are incredibly important. So whenever I had any free time, I would try and do work experience in the local newspapers. I would try and write articles and send off articles to different magazines, and I did all of that while I was doing my O-levels then, but GCSEs and through A-levels. So I was doing all of that before I turned up at university. but I always knew the very first thing I'd do on day one would be sort of go and find all the student media, see whether they had a radio station, a TV station, and just make sure that I got myself involved in that. And I just did that on day one. And so that was, again, just another way for me to try to develop my ideas, develop my skill base, to try and hone my ability, and to really work out what it was that I wanted, because I knew I wanted to work at the BBC, but I wasn't really quite sure whether it was as a journalist or whether or not it was more in entertainment or whatever. So that gave me the freedom to explore.
Can you remember what your first paid job was, what your last paid job was or is, and actually in your career, probably what your most favourite job was?
Oh, that's really difficult. I think that the problem was I did all of this stuff. I worked so hard for many years on not on stuff that didn't get paid. And then it was a real shock to me when I then sent off application forms and didn't even get interviews. I think in that first 6 months, just leaving university and trying to get into the world of work, I sent off 120 applications, and I probably only got about 5 or 6 responses, and I think I got 1 interview. And at the interview, they made it very clear that it had been a mistake to ask me along. So it was terrible. It was terrible, terrible, terrible. So I can remember very much, very clearly, the very first time I did get paid. And that was, I got some work experience working for the BBC World Service. I was working for the African service because I did African studies as part of my university degree. And so I was doing unpaid work experience there, and it was fantastic and it was wonderful. And by accident, a new person turned up on the same day that I did in a new program area, and they were the new producer, and they thought I was a new reporter rather than the work experience person. So they asked me whether I would go and make a feature, and I said yes. And then the guy went out of the room, and this old guy, lovely old guy, just looked at me and went, "Are you sure you can do this?" And I went, "No." He said, "Would you like to do this?" "Yes." And he was incredibly kind. He was an old boy. He had nothing to lose. He was called Roger Kemity. I remember him incredibly well. And he asked me what I would do with this feature, what I would like to hear in it. He thought they were really good ideas, and so he helped me. And so together, we put together this feature. I wrote the script. He reworked it for me. He helped me record it, and it went out on air. And afterwards, the editor of the programme just said, "But the new reporter phoned in sick this morning." And I had to come clean. So a few people were a bit cross, but a couple of people were quite full of praise for the fact that I had the initiative. Roger got into a lot of trouble, but I got paid, and that was the first time I was paid, and I've still got that remittance advice. It was amazing, but that just gave me so much confidence. But also it was another life lesson, and that is allies. We need allies. There was that one man who was just so kind and who effectively gave me my first break. And I think that's another bit of takeout that I've learned, and that's something that I always try and do in everything that I do, is to, if you see people who are really trying hard, that helping them and giving them a leg up is incredibly important. My last paid job, my proper last paid job at the BBC was when I was the channel exec for BBC One and BBC Three. And that was a fantastic job. And that was really, really good fun because you're involved in everything to do with the channel. So you're involved in helping to shape what the channel was doing. You were involved in all the commissioning decisions. And that was a very exciting job to have. But probably running a show called Exchange, which was just wonderful. And that was with about 60 people in the production team, incredibly diverse because we employed the people we wanted to. So lots of disabled people, lots of people who were Black and Asian and Jewish, and lots of people from all sorts of backgrounds. And it was just fun.
Which leads me really nicely to the next question. You've been pivotal in launching a number of disabled actors' careers. How and why did you use your position to create such a positive launch pad?
I think it's not been so much actors, although I have helped with actors. I think it's probably more on the production side of things where I've been able to help launch people's careers. And I think one of the things that I realised, and I think it probably goes back to those very early days about when it was that I got a break and how, is that this the landscape, the media landscape, and the broadcasting landscape is only going to change when you have people in positions of power, in positions of authority, who can make a difference. Because you can have all of the schemes that you like and all of the entry-level stuff that you like just so that people feel that they're doing something. But you can only get structural change when you have people who are making the decisions who to employ and how to employ it, and to make sure that the environment is an environment where people can give their best. Or one of the things that I found really important is critical mass. It's incredibly hard when you go into a big production and you're the only non-white person there, you're the only person there with a visible disability, you may not speak in the same way as other people. It makes it very difficult for you to give of your best. So I'm a real believer in creating environments where there is critical mass of different people with lived experiences. Then it feels like we could just be ourselves and get on with the work.
You've hinted that quite strongly, I guess, that you have experienced barriers as a disabled woman and someone of mixed heritage. But for our viewers, if you could give one or two pieces of sage-like advice, for anyone who wants to move into a career around journalism, whether it be presenter, writer, or production, what would you say to them?
It's a few different things. I think that, sadly, if you are somebody who is different in any way, shape, or form, that is incredibly powerful, and that's incredibly important, and that's something that you should hold on to. The flip side of that is that people often subconsciously are not great with difference, and so therefore there is that expectation that you might not be as good as another person. So one of the things that I always say to people is, I know it's hard, but really, really do your homework. So if you are applying for a job, just try and do everything you can to understand exactly what it is that they may be looking for. You need to nourish yourself and you need to build your own confidence. And that means being part of a network. There are lots of fantastic networks around that really help. I'm just thinking, obviously, the work that you're doing, Robin, is incredibly important. And then there are things like DANC, the Disabled Artists Networking Community. There are lots of different organisations out there. Be part of something so that you don't feel like you're isolated and separate, and nourish yourself and feel confident about what it is that you have to offer. And then I think the third thing I would say is it is a pain having to do things like sending off articles for nothing and writing stuff and maybe doing reviews of things. But I think it's incredibly good at honing your craft and honing your ability. So I would do all of that, because when you go for an interview, if you can just show the range of stuff that you've done, even if you're not paid for it, that again means that you are immediately ahead of lots of the other competition. Finally, try and see if you can work out who your allies are, particularly when you go into an organisation. Try and work out who your allies are, because allies will really help. And then also just think about people who you like and who might work well for you as a mentor. People are usually very, very flattered if you ask them for advice, and they're usually only too happy to give it. And it's a great way of building up your own network. All the way through my career, I've had different allies, all different mentors, and they've just been incredible.
Amazing advice. And I wish you best in all you do to carry on.
Thank you very much.